Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Renu. At the outset, thank you so very much for your overwhelming response. Today I'm going to talk about the formats, different formats, and coming back to what we have discussed in the part also. So it would be a collective video for all those who are visiting it for the first time. So let's quickly jump on to the formats I'm going to talk about. So today I'm going to give you format like the explanation letter for your work experience in case if you are unable to get it even from your senior most employer. What would be the substitute? And the second, I'm going to talk about the reference letter. What actually can you get acquired from your HR department or from your senior colleague? Also, in case if you are trying to apply for police clearance certificate and still you're not through, so what explanation letter or what would be the format you can use it to make your application smooth? And then I'm also going to cover the temporary resident to permanent resident pathway form again, just to give a clarity or heads up to all those people who have multiple experience in different NOCs. So I'll just try to cover and how you can calculate the number of hours. Sometimes it's 20 hours per week and sometimes 15 and 30, so goes on. And I will also talk about the mandatory and non-mandatory documents in this video, and how you can actually apply through BLS for police clearance certificate and various other things which we have discussed time and again. So now, so this is streams which we'll be talking about. Recent, this international graduates is almost full, so we'll be jumping right away to workers in Canada healthcare. 20,000 is actually the number of applications government would be accepting. So it's open till November 2021, and 2,076 applications has been received. As you see over here in essential non-healthcare, 16,177. Not a major jump yet. Again, a lot of people have their English test booking in the month of either July or August, and sometimes some of them even have it in September. So this is really a right time when you can actually gear up and prepare all the set of documents, because incomplete application is not a good option. So let's just work on the documentation part here. Now, if you could quickly go to the website, you should be able to see all these are the basic forms. For the newcomers who are visiting for the first time, I have explained these forms in detail in my previous videos. I will send the link of each and every thing I'm talking about in description box below. Generic application form for Canada is for principal applicant, MM0008 form. This is additional dependent declaration, again for the spouse. And then Schedule A is again for the principal applicants, the background declaration in case they have to explain the education and work history. Each and everything has to be in detail. And I have explained step by step. So please go and check that video out. Then additional family information would be again for your brother, sister, mother, father, because in any ways they would be coming, or in case if they want to come on a visitor visa, or if you want to do any kind of sponsorship, you can do it with this form. And then the schedule 3 is compulsory, is mandatory, temporary resident to permanent resident pathway. Let's quickly cover this first. I have covered it in my previous, so I'm not going to go in detail. So I chose stream B, as 80% of you would be applying into this category, and then you just have to fill this form. Now over here you have to mention your current position, like starting with your current position, list all the position within last 3 years. So the eligibility for this TR to PR is actually 1,560. So good thing is that nowhere it's written that 20 hours per week or 15 hours per week, or it has to be 30 hours per week. However, onto the website I have mentioned that the preference is to go with at least 30 hours per week, not more than that. Like it should not be squeezed in within shorter period of time. That's the notification they have covered that, and I'll just quickly cover that for you. Now, over here, if you go to temporary resident to permanent resident pathway, assessing the applications, so they have mentioned each and everything over here, that the person has to be in Canada, must be authorized, and these are the factors which would categorize him or her. Now, over here, if you see, the 1 year of experience can be acquired through multiple periods of employment. That means in case if you have worked for 3 months in warehouse, 2 months as a customer care representative, and then again rest of the month you are working as a sales representative and you're actually meeting as per the NOC, you should be good. Don't need to worry about that. However, it's mentioned work experience must be acquired over a period of at least 1 year, and work in excess of 30 hours per week over shorter period cannot compensate for any shorter overall period of experience. Now, so in case if you are trying to squeeze in, within short period of time, like say you're working for two companies, usually in Canada, and especially students, they work two jobs. So when you are actually on work permit, so 20 hours per week at one location, and then 15 or maybe 10 hours at different location. So it's hard for them to count beyond 30 hours per week. That's what they're saying. But my recommendation would be add, explain whatever the work experience you have. And it's also mentioned here, like in case if you're on leave or vacation, so it has to be within a 52 week period, time period. In case if you're going beyond that, just keep that thing in mind. Now let's jump on to the mandatory, the documents and non-mandatory documents here. Now this is the letter I have already discussed, and the format we have discussed. So benchmark for TR to PR pathway is 1560, as I mentioned, and is in the last 3 years. Guys, please check the video on NOCs also. I have covered in detail about the job duties. If you have any confusion, you can write back to me. Now, students are allowed to work 20 hours per week, so it can be calculated. Now, this is the format which we have discussed in my previous video, and I would recommend you to please go through it. But for the newcomers, this would be the format of reference letter in case if you are able to get the letter from your supervisor. So put the name of the supervisor's position, their position, and whatever the date. So to whom it may concern, you can take a screenshot of this also. So for say this is to certify that your name was employed by companies, whatever the organization you're working with, position, and since the time period you have started working with them. And if you're working till now, just mention the date, like till now. At location, just make sure that you get the location. Sometimes people work from home and they're not even in Canada, so location is very, very important. And she or he, whatever the gender is, was working under my supervision with the following details. Try to get as many details as you can. So base salary, benefits, number of hours, part-time, full-time, or whatever. And you just have to put the information here. Now, in case if you're not able to get the reference letter from your employer, you can actually get an affidavit from your coworker and just do the explanation also. Now, in the explanation letter, how you can write it, that in as per the norms of my company, we are not authorized to get the explanation letter from the supervisor, or they're not authorized to issue you. So that ways you can explain it to the employer, because every company has its own norms and regulations. So it's understandable. Now, this is the letter from IRCC, which candidate has started. Now, just for your information, international students have started getting AORs. So that's a great news. A couple of the applicants actually got it, and I got in touch with them. I'll talk about that too towards the end of this video. Now, these are the mandatory documents over here. If you see that proof of your current employment, that is mandatory. And then is your valid language test. It has to be original when a valid test. Like some people say that we have applied for it, we have the scan copy, like we just got the screenshot or a copy. That's not gonna work, because when it was documentation part, we used to submit the original IELTS. So you can imagine that it has to be what exactly it is. Then IMM 0130 form. So these are the mandatory documents. Now let's move on to the format here. Now, in case if you have now these are the mandatory documents. English language test, as I mentioned, and it is applicable from IELTS or CEL, PIP, and it has to be journal, not the academics, in journal for essential worker category, and the validity is actually for 2 years. So those who have such submit according to that. Now when you apply, you need to prove that you meet the minimum language benchmarks. Now in this category, CLB4 is the eligibility. Second is the form, that's IMM 0130, and along with it, of course, the additional generic form and dependent form. So now make sure that it should be validate this generic form as per the instructions. I've already covered that in my previous video. Now your work proof, your reference letter, the format has already shared. Now pay stub of at least last 3 to 4 months. Now if you're working for a company for more than a year's time period, that's good if you can attach all these pay stubs, but 3 to 4 months at least should be good. Now copies of your T4 tax information slips that you can actually get from Canadian Revenue Agency, and then your notice of assessment. Now, these are the non-mandatory documents. So when we say non-mandatory, doesn't mean that you're not going to submit that. Non-mandatory is not it means that you don't need to submit those documents upfront, like at the time of application. So this one, the police clearance certificate, is one where you need to submit, of course, but not at the time of application. If you don't have that, if you have it, just submit that. Now you must include, let's read the line. Now this I've got it from cic.gc.ca website, so I have not, kind of drafted it myself. This one. So you must include police clearance certificates when you apply for permanent residence, and these are the conditions. You and your family members who are 18 years or older in every country, you stayed in last 10 years for more than 6 months. Now this is the website you actually can, BLS International Services Canada. I would recommend to get it through them, apply it. Now when you go to application format, I have to cover it, like how you can apply it. I'll do that for sure. So you can always select the zone, the area, jurisdiction, what actually falls here. So for say I'm in Calgary, I would choose here, and then I'll just follow the steps over here. And then, in that case, you and your family members, now it's mentioned here, you and your family members don't need to give police clearance certificates for any period of time before you were 18 years old or for the time spent in Canada. So after you apply, an officer may ask for additional police certificates from any time in your life since you were 18 years of life. Now, this is the format. Now, in case if you have applied for police clearance certificate, so in that case, you can attach this as a explanation letter. Like format would be like to visa officer, citizenship and immigration Canada. Subject would be applied for police clearance certificate. Dear sir or ma'am, this is with reference to my application for TR to PR. Please be informed that I have made the request for PCC with BLS, right? Following are the steps I have followed to request for the PC. The step number one is like I signed up on this website. Uh, you know BLS. Then I have requested for my PCC through BLS Calgary. That's my jurisdiction on date, whatever the date is. Step three is I have deposited the total processing fee for Canadian dollar 41.40. Now this I have got it from the website, so it depends, whatever the amount it will be showing. Attaching the copy of receipt with my application. Now, in case of further clarification, you can reach out to me at email address, your phone number, regards, name, address, and passport number. So these are the things. This is the format you have to. Same ways in case if you have applied for medicals. Now, in case you've already gone through medicals, it's clearly mentioned that if you have already completed an IME, that's your medicals as part of your previous applications, like a student visa or work visa, you do not need to submit that. However, you need to submit the forms like information printout sheet, IMM 1017B upfront medical report form. Now, if you have never completed, you have to do it. You should complete the exam before you apply or as close as possible to the date you submit your online application. Now, sometimes, due to COVID, it's not possible. So when the panel physician completes the medical exam, they will give you and this one. So information printout sheet, the same, 1017B upfront medical report form. Now, this is clearly they mentioned. Due to the ongoing situation with COVID, some panel physician offices may be closed or have limited appointments availabilities. So, if you're having difficulty getting your IME completed before you apply, please provide the proof. Now, this is how they are asking for proof that a medical appointment is scheduled, including the name of the panel physician and the date and time of the appointment and or the letter of explanation of best efforts. Now when they say letter of explanation, try to follow the same format. Like this is with reference. Subject would be like applied for medical IME, and then just submit the attachments whatever you receive from the doctor's office, and you should be good. So all in all, at the end of the day, it's visa officer who's going to evaluate the application. But trust me guys, I have dealt with thousands of cases while I was associated with the immigration industry. I was literally into documentation part. Everything has to be crystal clear and self-explanatory, and it's again it's a visa officer who's going to devise. So there would be 10 visa officers, and one may reject only because one document is missing, and the other might not reject your application even if you have two missing documents. So it's ultimately their call. However, you need to make sure that whatever the documents you are providing should be completely attached and in detail. Now let's move on to biometrics. Now, biometrics, again, in case if you have gone through biometrics assumption for permanent residence applicants who have given, biometrics within the last 10 years. Now, if you have previously submitted biometrics within the last 10 years, please check the website. So if you need to provide them again or not. So if you do not need to provide them again, just send the proof attached to the document. However, you and your family member may need to appear in person to have their fingerprints and photographs. So usually, in case you receive any AOR, you know, you can always follow the instructions out there. So uh, these are the things you have to just keep in mind, that if you have to give biometrics, you can give them after you pay for and submit your application and biometric fees. So get a biometric instruction letter which will direct you to a list of biometric collection service points you may choose from. So just follow the instructions, and even the list of collection service points is also mentioned out there, so you can just go through it step by step. Okay, so this is all over here. Now, moving on to the next part here. This I've already explained you that this is the qualifying work experience. Just go through it minutely. And now these are the NOCs. So this annexure A and annexure B is actually what you have to focus on. The very first moment you decide that you want to go to, like you want to go for this application, go under the annexure A is only for the health related occupation. Now, in case if you have an experience in annexure A and you are actually trying to show your NOC among any of these NOCs, I'm afraid you cannot blend it with annexure B experience. So if you're applying for, say, as a dentist, it has to be NOC 3113, and it has to be as per annexure A only. However, if you have worked in annexure A before, for say as an occupational therapist for maybe like 6 months time period, and then you have worked for annexure B also, so you actually can blend both the experience, but your profile would go in annexure B category. Okay, now, these are the NOCs. You have to go through it. And as I mentioned in the beginning, that I have covered the whole video on it. So 661 is for cashier. So you have to just go through the job duties in details, and everything is mentioned. And whatever the job duties you see over here, you don't have to do the exact copy. So all you have to do is just in the description of your job duties, you can put it point wise point. So for say if you have see maybe like 15 job duties on this NOC. So you have to get at least 8 to 10 what you think it's what you're doing. So in your reference letter, you can put it across and then just add to your reference letter. And that's all. It's for NOC's time period. Now, this is one more information I would recommend. Please go through these forms. Some people have confusion whether to sign it and all. I've explained it in previously also. So it's everything is mentioned onto the website, and go through my video also where I've explained. Now, in case if any of you has received AOR, I would highly recommend you please share on this YouTube channel so that it could help a lot of people out here. And this is the BLS format where you actually can apply for the police clearance certificate. Now, in case if you have any other further question or query regarding any format, I can certainly help you with that. I hope it will be a smooth journey for you. So for further inquiries, you can always subscribe to my channel so that you can get the quick updates. So take care, have a good day, bye.